So I'm going to speak to a little bit about a particular view I get of Nick for a long time now. But I'll start with the fact that we met in January 2004.
For nearly 2 decades, they were Hollywood's proof that true love still existed. Every red carpet, every flash of a camera, painted them as perfection. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, the actress with timeless grace and the country star who made love sound like a song. They laughed together, they held hands, they built a life most people only dream about. To the world, they were unshakable, the rare pebble that made you believe fame didn't have to destroy love. But what no one saw was the slow unraveling happening just out of frame. The smiles got softer, the interviews shorter, and somewhere between the stages and the spotlights, the fairy tale began to fracture. Now, after 19 years, the truth is finally slipping through the cracks. Because behind the glamour, behind the headlines, was a love quietly fighting to survive, until it couldn't. This isn't just a breakup. It's the quiet collapse of a story the world thought would last forever. It was 2005, a night drenched in gold lights and champagne laughter, the G-Day USA Gala, where Hollywood's elite met Australia's finest. Cameras flashed, conversations sparkled, and somewhere in that glittering crowd, 2 souls collided. Nicole Kidman, fresh off heartbreak, still learning how to breathe again after the storm that was her marriage to Tom Cruise, and Keith Urban, the magnetic country star from down under, riding a wave of fame, but still grounded in that quiet, humble charm. When their eyes met, something shifted. It wasn't fireworks or fairy tale music. It was something softer, deeper, almost like recognition, as if 2 people who had walked through fire finally found someone who understood the scars. They talked, they laughed, and for that brief moment, time didn't feel like a luxury. It felt like a chance. Everyone around them could sense it, that rare spark that can't be faked, not even under the harshest Hollywood light. But then, silence. Keith didn't call. Not for days, not for weeks, 4 whole months of nothing. Nicole thought he wasn't interested. Little did she know, he was terrified of breaking something that already felt too real. And when he finally picked up the phone, destiny answered back. By 2006, they were inseparable. 2 worlds colliding, movie sets and music tours, red carpets and recording studios. The world had found its new obsession. But what started as a dream meeting would soon become the love story that tested them both. By mid-2006, the world had fallen for them. 2 stars from opposite worlds, one ruled by red carpets, the other by guitar strings, now orbiting the same love story. And then, on a quiet June night in Sydney, they sealed it. No paparazzi chaos, no Hollywood spectacle, just candlelight flickering on soft white walls, a handful of loved ones, and 2 people whispering forever. Nicole walked down the aisle in lace, glowing, trembling, almost disbelieving that love had found her again. Keith stood waiting, eyes glistening, unable to hide his tears. When he took her hand, he didn't just hold it, he clung to it, like he knew how fragile that moment was. There were no grand speeches, no magazine covers announcing every detail. It was love, stripped of performance. Quiet, honest. The kind of wedding that made even the skeptics believe, maybe, just maybe, true love still existed in Hollywood. For years after, they were unstoppable. Every red carpet, hand in hand. Every award show, stolen glances that felt unscripted, real. He'd blush in interviews, calling her my everything. She'd smile and say, "He's my safe place." They made marriage look effortless. Laughter, devotion, family. They became the couple others pointed to when asked if love could survive fame. It wasn't a story, it was proof. But fairy tales look perfect until they don't. For a while, it seemed like nothing could touch them. The smiles, the music, the red carpets, they had everything the world could dream of. But behind the closed doors of their fairy tale home, a storm was quietly building. Only a few months after the wedding, cracks began to show. Late nights turned into longer absences. Keith wasn't just distant, he was lost. She could see it. The man who once looked at her with fire in his eyes now seemed to be fighting shadows no one else could see. And then came the moment, the one that changed everything. She didn't call the press. She didn't run. She gathered the people who loved him most and staged an intervention. No lights, no cameras, just tears. Her voice breaking, she said what only real love dares to say. "I can't watch you destroy yourself, not when I know who you truly are." It wasn't anger, it was heartbreak, and it worked. Keith checked into rehab that same week. Nicole stood by him, quietly, fiercely, refusing to let their story end in tragedy. The world finally saw the truth. It wasn't a tabloid story anymore. It was a fight for love and for his life. Through it all, she never left. While the world whispered, she stayed silent. While others judged, she chose compassion. And slowly, painfully, he began to find his way back. Months passed. The tabloids moved on. But for Keith and Nicole, the real story had only just begun. When he walked out of rehab, there were no flashing lights, no red carpets, just open arms, hers. No words were needed, just a look that said, "You made it back." Their love didn't return overnight. It was rebuilt, one quiet morning at a time. Coffee on the porch, walks through their Nashville ranch, laughter echoing where silence once lived. And then came a miracle. Their first daughter, Sunday Rose, followed by another blessing, Faith Margaret. Suddenly, the music that once filled stadiums now played softly in their living room. Tiny feet running across wooden floors, bedtime stories, lullabies. Love had found a new rhythm. Keith often said in interviews, "He saved my life." But Nicole would just smile, because she knew love had saved them both. To the world, they were finally whole again. Two souls who'd walked through fire and came out stronger. They had survived the storm. But peace doesn't always last forever. Years of love, laughter, struggle, and triumph had given them a story the world envied. But by 2024, subtle shifts began to ripple through their picture-perfect life. Red carpet appearances slowed, date nights grew scarce. The cozy interviews that once made fans swoon vanished. Nicole was filming across Europe, caught in back-to-back projects. Keith was touring solo, moving from city to city, his music still soaring, but his world growing quieter, more detached. Rumors began to surface, whispers of separate homes in Nashville, speculation that he was retreating when things got tense. The world noticed the distance before the couple even admitted it themselves. Then came the interviews, polite, measured, careful. But the words only skimmed the surface. The warmth that once radiated from their smiles had thinned. Fans watched intently, sensing something unspoken. The words were polite, but the silence behind them, deafening. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It was subtle, heartbreaking. A love quietly drifting out of view. And just like that, the fairy tale that had survived storms and struggles began to show the first real cracks. The world finally caught up. Less than 2 weeks after filing for divorce, Nicole Kidman spoke, not to defend, not to accuse, but to reflect. In a Harper's Bazaar interview, she shared the truth she'd quietly carried for months. The best part of growing older is learning how to handle whatever life throws at you. You go, "I've been here before. I know how to get through this." She didn't shout, she didn't dramatize. She simply acknowledged the end with grace, a quiet wisdom earned through years of love, struggle, and survival. After 19 years, she wasn't angry, she wasn't bitter. She was ready to heal. And in that calm, poised voice, the world heard something deeper than headlines. Love doesn't always end with fireworks. Sometimes it ends with quiet acceptance. The smiles faded, the hands unclasped, but what remained was dignity, strength, and the courage to start anew. The news didn't just ripple, it exploded. Fans flooded social media, stunned by what had once seemed unshakable.